but it's still on my dashboard, isn't it? And let's go down to clear fault memory. Now it says erase is done. Let's read the fault codes. Ooh, got 1 of 6. ABS system, electronic stability program, check component L6 left rear speed sensor. I'm going to go for a quick drive up the side of the road and I'm going to see if that is any anomaly to the rest of them. Look at that, look, 5 miles an hour, and look, that left rear speed sensor, it's kaput. So the weather hasn't been great recently. It's been a little bit kind of damp. My poor car has to sit out in the street. I've lost a little bit of lacquer off my rear spoiler. It's been perfect for like 5 years and now it's starting to come off. And last night I had about 4 faults on my dash. However, I started it today and actually I've only got the one now. But nevertheless, it's an engine management light. I did a quick video before using a launch, but I thought today I'm going to get my iCarSoft out. This is my underdog. This was the first diagnostic tool I bought. I still love it. I love it for the fact that you don't have to pay for updates. She's simple, she's basic, but it's a great little size, and this thing has paid for itself time and time again. I've actually got 10 cars on this, including Range Rovers and Volkswagens and Fiats, but it's got the full Mercedes setup on this as well. So let's plug it in and let's get this. This is what it says about the fault on my dash. So unlike my other diagnostics, you have to actually select the vehicle. So Mercedes-Benz, this page here just has the different software versions. There's a little video actually shows you how to update the software in your iCarSoft. I might as well choose the latest one, which is 11.85. As I said, it won't find the car automatically. You just have to select a few more buttons, that's all. So these are the chassis numbers for Mercedes-Benz. So I'm going to go and find mine, which is at the back of the list, and it's an SL R230. So let's select that, and now I'm going to choose the year, and it's the middle one there. It's a 2004. And right here, this is where you choose the model of your engine. Now you can find the information. It's actually down on the door jamb, and it's a 230.467. It's a 350 and it's a 3.7 litre. So we've got smart scan, manual scan. I'm going to do a smart scan because it's going to choose and find all of the control units for the car, and importantly, you can see there it's got 1 of 33 that it's found, and it's going to tell me what the faults are with it. So I'll see you on the other side, bear with. So if you had a look at my recent video I did on a lovely Android update, there was a steering wheel lock, and I promised you a better steering lock by far. Today's sponsor is by a company called Tevlafi, and this lock has really sorted out the problems that I've got, because I have various cars. With the YouTube channel, I'm not bragging, it just so happens that I got a few cars, and if you're lucky enough to have a few cars, you're going to want a steering wheel lock that does and accommodate any type of car out there. Let me show you what this thing can do. Straight away, they give you 3 keys, which I love. It's made of solid hardened steel, and it's got this excellent rubber protection, so it's not going to mark your steering wheel, it's not going to mark your car. And one thing I love about this, I've been using it, is that once you put the key in, of which you get 3, it stays in place. So watch, turn it, and now you've got the adjustment depending on the steering wheel. Mercedes, for example, they have big steering wheels, so you're going to have a longer extension. If you've got a truck, you might have a bigger steering wheel. BMWs, they tend to have smaller steering wheels. Anyway, look, hook it on the bottom there, slide it open until it locks in place to the top. Now, simply turn the key, pull the key out, and that's it, locked in place. You can get it in red and black as well. Give you an idea of the length. In the extended position here from end to end, it's around about 27 inches or about 70 centimeters. So when it comes to removing the lock, exactly the same in reverse obviously, but it's a one-handed operation. You put the key in and turn it, and immediately as you turn it, it then retracts. The nice thing about this, in this position, it's around about 18.7 inches or about 47 centimeters. You can actually leave it like that. It's probably small enough just to sort of either stick behind your seat if you want to, or you can actually take it apart, and it's probably small enough to then stick in your glove box. So to give you an idea, this steering lock, it will work with any steering wheel with internal diameter. That's the diameter from the inside, with a range between 7.5 inches and 13.8 inches. It's lightweight. It only weighs just over 2 kilograms, this thing. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to try it on my Mercedes, and let's see how good the fitment is on that. So I'm in a Mercedes SL now, and here's a great example. Look, if I go to fit this, it doesn't quite extend. Now this is not a fault of the Tevlafi lock, by the way. It's simply the design of the car. The windscreen is closer to my steering wheel. So the whole point of this is that it's versatile and that you can fit it in different ways. So look, if I go the opposite way now I can get the full extension. I can turn the lock. It's not going to be able to go anywhere. So there you go. Great example, versatility in different cars. And my daughter's just back. So as my daughter's just back in a lovely little Fiat 500. In fact, I'm very proud because it's the first day that she's been out in the car by herself because she's just passed her test. Very proud dad I am. So let's get the Tefla V lockouts. And you can see that's a lovely snug fit on this one. I'm going to go and try the Range Rover. So this is a Range Rover Evoque. It's a 2012. And straight away, look, what a lovely fit that is. Just going to give me that little bit of peace of mind that somebody who's looking at stealing cars is just going to go away and go somewhere else. And it only weighs just over 2 kilograms. It's small enough to stick in your glove box. So the link's below if you want a Tefla V steering lock. Go and get one. Right, so it's come to the end of its scan. Now, one thing about iCarSoft, it doesn't automatically put the faults at the top of the list, like the launches and the King Bolans and the Maxicoms. You have to actually go into each individual item, of which there's 27. Engine control module, well, that's at the top of the list, so we might as well go into that there, and let's see what it has to say. Module information, it's going to read fault code, oxygen sensor. I mentioned that at the start of the video. I've got to get this changed, the short circuit signal, so it's seeing that there is a problem with that sensor. It might be sooted up. She's 21 years old, it probably just needs to be replaced. The car's still running, but I can feel that there's a little bit lumpiness to it. At the top there, it says 1 of 4, so if I select the right arrow, I can go to the next one. Oxygen sensor again, the next one. Rough road detection by comparing wheel speeds. So here we go, this is probably why the ABS light has been on there. It says speed signal from control module ESP is unreasonable / read out fault memory of control module, which is a P1999. So yeah, rough road detection. I think what I like to do there, if I got an issue like this, I actually record the screen and I can take a photo of that with my phone and then just go and look it up on the internet. And the next one is no CAN data, vehicle speed signal left rear wheel from control module. So I've actually replaced the rear right sensor, and there's a good chance therefore now that the rear left maybe is on its way out. I have seen this before. It might be because the voltage was low. That can bring up a whole myriad of faults when there's a low battery on the car. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and clear these codes, and we'll have a look at the dashboard and see if they go off the dash. But importantly, and I can look back on my video, I know what those faults are. Don't go just clearing codes thinking that's the end of it. You need to make sure you fix the hardware fault first. So I've got the 2 lights on my dash there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go clear fault memory, press enter, and let's see if they go off the dash. It says there it's going to be erased. It says there the fault's going to be erased. Do you wish to continue? Yes. Let's watch the dash. Erase done. Okay, well it's still on the dash, so let's go back and let's go and see if we can read the fault code. You're probably going to still say the oxygen sensor. Well, there's still 1 of 4 there, so on this instant it hasn't been able to clear the codes. So I've seen this before where you need to clear the control units in a certain order. So I'm going to go now to the ABS control unit module and see. So let's go into that. So it's going to be under electronic stability program. Let's read the fault codes. Oh, got 1 of 6. ABS system, next. Electronic stability program, next. Check component L6 left rear speed sensor. I think I've got a physical fault with that left rear speed sensor. The fault can be ignored and no, this fault can be ignored and erased. That's interesting. This fault can be ignored and erased. I haven't seen that on the likes of my launches or my King Bolan. I wonder what that means. Check component L6 left free. I mean, again, maybe there's a bit of dirt in there. I might be lucky. And what's the last one? The CAN, which is the communication. The engine control module is faulty. Right, well, let's see if we can clear the fault code. So let's go back and let's go down to clear fault memory. Now it says erase is done, but it's still on my dashboard, isn't it? I'm going to go back to the first one, the engine control module, press enter, and I'm going to see if I can clear it there. Clear fault memory. It says erase completion's done, but it's still there. Electronic stability program again. I want to read those faults one more time. Read fault codes. I had 6 before. Oh, now I've only got 2, that's good. And it's going on again, this left speed sensor. Right, so let's go back. Transmission control module, let's have a look and see. It might be actually under sensortronic brake control. There'll be faults in that tied in with the ESP as well. Let's go and read the fault code and see. Oh, no faults found, that's good. Here we go, just gone into the transmission control module, and there's a fault within that unit as well, and it's saying the left rear wheel RPM signal sent from the traction system via the CAN bus is unreasonable. Yeah, okay, now let's see if I go back. So this time I'm going to go back into ESP, Electronic Stability Program. I'm going to go for a quick drive up the side of the road, and I'm going to see if that is any anomaly to the rest of them. So if I'm doing 10 mile an hour, they should all read 10 mile an hour. There shouldn't be a difference. Let's go. And straight away there, look at that, look, I'm doing 1.8 mile an hour, 5 mile an hour, and look, that left rear speed sensor, it's kaput. So I now know I've got a physical fault with that left sensor. That's the good news. The bad news is I've got to bloody change it. And the last time I went to change, which was the one on the right hand side, and it makes sense, you know, one sensor fails, then they're aging. She's 21 years old, this car, so there's a good chance that the other one was going to go pretty soon. I did that about 6-7 months ago, so now it's time to change the left. But the bad news is when I did it, look at that, 9 mile an hour and the left one's doing nothing. I had to drill it out because it basically got corroded in there. So that's another job for when the weather's warm. What I've noticed though is when you get the ABS sensor come up on your dash, it will make the steering very heavy, and I think Mercedes do that simply so that you know there's an issue with your steering and not to ignore it. So look, I really hope this is your sort of thing. Join me on the change out of the ABS sensor. It's going to come up. I'm not going to do it today. I've got more than a million things to do, but that is definitely one that's going to be coming up soon. I've done one from the right, and as I've always said, when you've done the job before, that learning curve is out of the way. I will guarantee I know exactly what to do. I'm hoping it's not seized in there, because as I said, I had to drill the thing out, but at least I've done it before. So that's coming up. Left ABS sensor on a Mercedes SL, 21 years old. Thanks for subscribing if you did. Amazing thank you to my lovely members, and see you on the next one.